So Medicaid, who should do your Medicaid application? When I was in law school, I had a part-time job working for an elder law firm in Garden City. And I left the first day saying to anyone who would listen, do you believe these people charge legal fees to apply for Medicaid? That is just wrong. This is, a benefit that people are entitled to. They make it so hard to access the benefit. I would tell you that if you have a simple situation and you don't have assets that you need to protect, and you have income of under $1,600 a month, you should be able to get the home care agency who has the Medicaid contract. They should be able to do the application as a courtesy. Beware of the non-attorney Medicaid preparers. We laugh about this in my office because my fees are cheaper than any non-attorney Medicaid preparer that I've ever spoken to. But when we have income over the threshold, we need to take special steps, legal steps, to protect that income overage, that it continues to go into the household. When should documents be updated? Well, if a will was valid in 1990, it's probably still valid. You don't have to update valid documents because someone, got married, has a new last name. We want to update documents when the person I've named as an agent or a beneficiary develops some problem. If my husband dies, I probably don't have to really update the document because the document's going to say, if Harry can't act, then Susie is the agent. So that document, together with Harry's death certificate, I can operate. But if instead of dying, Harry developed dementia, Parkinson's, should he be my agent? No. If my husband has a problem, I also want to update my will. I should no longer have everything going to him if he might be in a nursing home. So my new will should say, if I am survived by Harry, I leave everything into that asset protection trust for his lifetime benefit. So I'm not disinheriting him and going all to the kids. I'm giving him a soft landing that the assets are there for his benefit, but creditors such as a nursing home or a young person who wants to trick him out of his assets. And this happens with elderly folks. We want to have protections. Yeah.
I know everybody's going to require different provisions in their trust, but could you give us an approximate cost or an average cost?
Yeah, it's bigger than a bread box. No. And I try to be very candid.
I know everything's different. Everybody's different.
It's all over the place. I'm going to say
range.
I'm going to say you're between 5,000 and 9,000.
Right.
But when you call to strike up a conversation about doing this type of planning, you're never going to get the attorney on the phone right away on that first call. I think if you do, it's a bad sign that they're waiting around for the phone to ring. If they don't get back to you, 24 or 36 hours, that's also a bad sign. You're going to tell them what your situation is. Do I just need this primary trust? And all three of my kids are, right as rain. They don't need special sub-trusts in the basement. So let's think of it like a Lego building set. But the most important thing as it relates to fees is you want to make sure that you're dealing with a flat fee. An hourly fee can be a disaster because every time you pick up the phone in the future, the meter starts running. And human nature being what it is, I have a lot of attorneys in my life, and I am reluctant to pick up the phone with some of them where I know I'm going to get a bill. And that is very dangerous, folks, because if you have a flat fee, a decent relationship with the attorney, they're not nickel and diming you for a little question that you have, and you're in a rehab situation and they give your adult child a bunch of papers to sign, lo and behold, they just undertook a third-party guarantee to pay for the nursing home. You have to have an open dialogue because the laws change, your situation changes, and, don't be a penny wise and a pound foolish. But yeah.
So as laws change over time pertaining to trusts, does it make trusts that were created 10 years ago less effective today and so on? Or
well, laws change. The caseworker protocol at Medicaid changes. You get some cowboy who thinks he can break into the trust, by attacking a certain provision. Well, just like the U.S. Constitution, the trust should have a mechanism that provisions can be changed. And in my practice, they started looking at a certain clause, Medicaid, and we did fair hearings and we won the fair hearings, but that took months and months and months. So, you know what? They're wrong, but it was a change that didn't hurt anyone. So we fine-tuned it, and you can do that if the trust allows you to do it.
so when you do a trust, you have to make sure that clause is in there, yeah?
Yes, it all comes back to, is this thing properly drafted?
What did advance directive mean? And could you speak to Medicaid annuity to assets in the 11th hour?
Okay, Medicaid annuity to protect assets is a quick answer. That planning tool went away in 2006 because they got wise to it and they said, okay, you can do a Medicaid annuity that's exempt. You just have to name Medicaid as the beneficiary. So that's out the window. As bad as it gets at the 11th hour for folks who've done nothing, we can stand on our heads and we can do what's called rule of halves planning and protect half. Advanced directive is simply the label that we give to power of attorney, healthcare proxy, living will, all of these things. What can the me of today do to ensure that the me of 15, 20 years from now has a decent life? And some of my clients go as far as within the living will, if we're living alone and we're concerned, how are they going to know what I like and don't like if I develop dementia? We can put in the living will what your favorite foods are, because maybe I've lost my speech, but I'm probably still going to like a slice of pizza or whatever it is. So we can, give instructions for the future care and feeding of ourselves. Yeah.
Someone asked, can you take a reverse mortgage out on a property that's in a trust? And does that home need to be paid off to take out reverse mortgage?
So reverse mortgage, and again, in the book, I talk a little bit about it because I have no horse in that race. I do not provide reverse mortgages. But for some people, they are a godsend. So imagine a senior citizen in a fully paid off house, let's say. They're still happy in the house. They're not having difficulty navigating the house. They have a bathroom on the first floor. This is their house with the break front, with all of the pictures, from decades ago. But they're feeling very tight financially. The reverse mortgage allows this person to borrow against the future, equity, and now have cash or a line of credit, and now they're living the way they want to live. One of my first clients in the 90s dealing with a reverse mortgage, she was the widow of a physician living in Bayside Gables, one of these big, beautiful houses, and she had an empty bank account, and everyone was telling her, you need to sell the house and downsize. That is not always the right formula, because when you downsize, it's going to be to a newer house. The taxes are going to be higher. If it's a condo or a co-op, now you have maintenance costs. It's not necessarily cheaper at the end of the day. And if we have a $1 million house and we can borrow $300,000, yes, you're paying interest on the $300,000. But where we are in Northeast Queens, you're still getting lovely appreciation on the entire $1 million. So at the end of the day, the beneficiaries could be better off. And when we conclude, we'll hear a few remarks from Bill D'Onofrio, who specializes in the reverses. He's a wealth of information, very credible. I've known him for decades. And for those of you who are concerned, you think reverse mortgage is some type of trick, there's no product in America that is more highly regulated than this. You have to go through counseling, and they don't let you exceed a certain percentage of the value of the property. So there's no such thing, of you owing them or your heirs owing them at death. And they're very reasonable at death. They just don't want to come hunting for you. You call them, my mom passed away, we're planning on listing the house. Just keep the dialogue going, and it's a lovely thing. So my lady in Bayside Gables, she took out a reverse mortgage, and she had enough money that she had car service to the opera, and she put on her rhinestones, and she continued to live in her big, lovely house. So that was just a home run, and for the right situation, it's great.